Everyone, welcome to Escoffier School of Culinary Arts. My name is Chef Caesar. Today I want to show you how to do a chicken Francaise, which is a dish brought in by Italian immigrants to New York. Originally it was done with veal, but since veal was a little bit pricey, they made it really famous with using chicken breast. So first thing you want to do is get a nice chicken breast like I have here. I got my rest of my ingredients here. This is going to be a pan fry cooking method I'm using today. I'm also doing a pan sauce, which is a very simple dish to make. So the first thing we want to do, if your chicken breasts are pretty thick like mine were, you want to split them in half because we want to pound this down. Since we're using a pan fry method, it's a very quick cooking method. So we want to pound them down so that they don't take a long time to cook. Otherwise, if we get them too thick, they might brown too much on the outside while the inside is not cooked. So definitely one of the things you want to do first, line up your cutting board with a piece of film so it's easy to clean up. You want to lay them down. Okay, so I'm going to do probably 3 breasts here. And then we're going to start to pound this with a meat mallet. Put this aside here. You also want to put another piece of film over the top so when you're pounding this, you're not making a mess everywhere. It's easy to clean up too. Okay. Now you want to take your meat mallet with a flat side. You want to start pounding from the center. You want to push it out. So you don't want to hit too hard. Okay. Okay. Also, you want to flip them over. Just take the whole film like this. It's easy to flip them over so you can pound them some more. I'm going to be serving this dish with some pasta. So I got my pasta water simmering back here. I'm using fresh pasta, which is going to take very quick to cook. It doesn't take a long time. If you were to use like a dry pasta, you definitely want to have your pasta already cooked off because dry pasta usually takes about 10 minutes to cook or to 12 minutes. Well, fresh pasta only takes about 1 minute. So okay, so now I got my chicken pounded really nice. Okay. Now I gotta remove them here. Put them back on my plate. As you can see, they're pretty big. Okay. Okay, now I'm gonna do my egg wash. I got some eggs already here. Make sure when you do this, you want to whip your eggs really well. You want to combine the egg whites and egg yolks really nice because egg yolks and egg whites cook at different temperatures. If you leave them like this, you're going to see some white spots when you cook the chicken, when you egg wash the chicken to cook it. The same thing would be if you're making like an omelet. You want to whip the eggs really well before you start cooking them. Egg yolks cook at a lower temperature than egg whites do. Also, when you do this, you're kind of incorporating some air into the egg mixture. So when you're making this, or making an omelet, for example, or scrambled eggs, they can be even more fluffy. And we don't have to do this. I mean, they're going to be nice and fluffy here too when you egg wash a chicken. And again, you can also do this dish with veal, but veal most of the time is more expensive than chicken breast. Okay, I'm also going to add a little Parmesan cheese here to this egg mixture here to make like a little paste. Okay, it's going to add more flavor. Okay. Okay, now we're done with this. Now I got a little flour here. I'm gonna season this as well. because we're gonna dust our chicken breast with some flour before they go in the egg wash. Otherwise, the egg wash it's not gonna stick very well to your chicken. Okay, so we got it done. Put it to the side. Another thing you want to do when you're doing this, you want to season your protein here because you want to get a nice. And when you do that, you want to do it on both sides, just with some salt. I'm using some kosher salt here. I like it because it really doesn't stick that much to your fingers. And this is what we use most of the time in the restaurant kitchen. It's more easily. Okay. I'm also going to do some pepper here. Okay. Nice. Now we're gonna dredge this in flour. I'm gonna get my pan going here, get it nice and hot. This is one of the things you want to think about too. The kind of oil you're using when you're pan frying something. Since we do want a high temperature, you want to use the oil that has like a high smoke point. I'm using a blend of avocado oil and a little olive oil. Olive oil, it has a nice flavor, but it doesn't have a high smoke point. So when you're cooking like this, you don't want to burn the oil because that's going to affect the flavor of your dish. So you want to think about that. And avocado oil has one of the highest smoke points of all the oils out there. So, okay, the oil. When we're pan frying something, you want to add enough oil to so the oil goes like halfway up the product. You're not really deep frying it, but you want to have enough oil in there to make sure that the product cooks really nice. So you're going to get your hot pan, the hot oil. Okay, that should be good enough. Okay. And be careful, you don't want the oil to start smoking, so we're going to dredge your chicken breast in flour. You want to shake off the excess flour, dip them in the egg wash. Okay. There we go. Other side of the way here. Okay. Let's get a little bit too hot here. Okay. Now we're gonna, and also you want to put this down with like the presentation side down, which will be the side that had the skin on first. Okay. My pan is not too big, so I'm only going to be able to put two pieces in there. Okay. Okay. That's nice. And when you're pan frying something, especially if there's no breading on it, you're going to see that the product's going to stick to the pan. Let it go. Don't worry, because when it's ready to come off, it's going to you're going to shake the pan. It's going to move around. So if you see that your chicken or whatever protein you're cooking sticks to the pan, that's okay. Once it starts to get a nice golden brown crust, it's going to come off by itself, okay? As you can see, because it has egg wash, it doesn't stick to the pan. It just kind of moves around, so you got to be careful. Also, make sure that you don't have the temperature too high. Otherwise, the oil, sorry, not the oil, the chicken is going to start to brown too much, and you don't want it. Also, the oil, too, is going to start to burn, and you don't want that. Okay. I'm going to, in the meantime, slice some lemons here. I'm going to be making a sauce with some lemon, a little white wine, some chicken broth. You can also use chicken stock. And just in case you wonder, what's the difference between a broth and a stock? You probably might have the question. The difference is when you're using making a broth, we make it with the chicken meat and also the bones. When you're making the stock, we're only using the bones. Okay, so you can take a peek here. See, get it nice and brown. Okay. Yes, we might have a question here. The question was, why do we put the chicken in flour before the egg wash? Well, because we want some of the egg to stick to the product. Otherwise, if you just do it by itself without anything on it, it's not going to stick. The flour kind of, adheres, the egg sticks to the flour, so you see like a nice layer of egg in there. That's the reason why. And the same thing would be if you were like breading this with like, just a breading, you would definitely just, before you do anything, you have your breading station set up. So you have your chicken, your flour, your egg wash, and your breadcrumbs. So you always want to put some, a layer of flour, like a very thin layer, so, the egg wash just sticks to the product. Okay, so you can see this, it's getting nice. In the restaurant setting, you might see that, when you check in this when you flip it over, you might transfer it to a hot plate and finish it off in the oven, okay? Because you want to make room to be making another dish and also be making the sauce. But here, at home, you might not have to do that, but, just keep in mind, if you work in a restaurant kitchen, you might have, like, 10 or 15 orders going at the same time, and you only have so much burner space in your range, so you want to think about that. And you'll probably be finishing cooking this chicken breast in the oven to like start making the sauce and probably start making other dishes. As you can see, it has a nice and golden brown there. Okay. I'm also going to be chopping some of this Italian parsley here. It's going to make a nice sauce. Another thing I got here, I made some beurre manière. This is basically a mixture of flour and butter. It's like making a roux but without cooking it. So you mix equal parts. And the best way to do this by weight. So you want to weight your flour and your butter, unsalted butter. You make like a little balls like this, and then you throw them in your sauce, whatever you make, and that's going to act, as a thickener. It's like using a roux, but like I said, without cooking it. So this is a way that you would use to thicken up the sauce that you're making. This is called beurre manière. Okay. Look at that. Beautiful color. That's what you want. And a way to know when your chicken is almost done, it should feel this. I mean, when it's raw, you're going to see that if you press down on your chicken breast, it's really mushy, right? Look at this. And then if you go over here and you feel it, it's going to get nice and firm. So you want to also start thinking about that, because when you work in a restaurant kitchen, you're not going to be poking every piece of chicken. You have to make sure it's up to temperature. So you're going to learn these things once you get to really train and start, cooking in a professional setting. You're going to know these things just by looking at the product. Okay, being a chef, a cook, we know when things are done by the way they smell, the way they look, and the way they feel. So this is something that you also will be learning. Okay, so this is almost ready. You're also going to see some clear juices coming out of there. Okay, this means it's getting almost done, and this is a sign that the chicken breast is cooking. Okay, so we're going to remove this, okay, from here. Going to let them rest in my dish, because now we're going to start making our sauce. Okay, you might need to add a little bit more oil here. Okay. We're making our pan sauce. This is a very quick and easy sauce to make. Okay, so we're going to start with putting some little garlic down here. Okay. We're also going to throw a lemon. Look at that, getting nice. You want to be careful. You don't want to burn the garlic. You might want to lower the heat. Okay. You just want to get a nice golden brown. If you get a tip burn, garlic when it burns, it tastes bitter, so you don't want to do that. Now we're going to deglaze our pan. This is called deglazing with some white wine. I'm using a Sauvignon Blanc. You can use any kind of white wine. Just try to get away from any sweet wines, like a Pinot Grigio will work, a Chardonnay. Okay. So now we can crank the heat on. We're going to reduce this to a sec, almost dry. So. Here I got some chicken broth I'm going to be using to make our sauce. I got to make sure my water is going back here. As you can see, you're multitasking in the kitchen, and this is going to be something that is important to do, because you're going to be able to do a lot more. And it's important to do this just to be organized, because you're going to be doing this when you get to work in the industry, if that's your goal. Okay. Okay, now we have our one. Reducing here. If you see some browning like stuck to the bottom of the pan, you want to scrape it. That's called the fond, which is a lot of flavors from the sugars caramelizing. They come from the protein. That's where you want to scrape it. But this one doesn't have a lot. You might see that when you just are cooking the chicken breast without any breading or any egg wash. If you just cooking like the protein itself, like the pork chops or chicken breast, you're gonna see some browning, and that's where a lot of flavor is concentrated. So now we're going to add some of my chicken broth here, okay, to make a nice sauce here. And you can make whatever, I mean, as much as you want. I only have like 2 pieces of chicken. If you were doing like a more, you probably use, you know, a little bit more stock and more wine. So we're going to bring this to a simmer. A little pepper here, salt. Chop some of my parsley here. I like to use Italian parsley. Also, it's called flat leaf. This has a lot of nice aroma, and a lot of people use the curly one, but that one is more for like a garnish. And I like to cook with this parsley because it has a lot of flavor. It's really fragrant. Okay, some of my sauce is starting to simmer here, boiling. Now we're going to throw some of this beurre manier, throw a little piece in there and start whisking. Okay. This is going to thicken up our sauce. Another way you can do it, just reduce the sauce a little more and add just plain butter. That's another way to thicken up the sauce. But when you do that, you have to use it right away. You also got to be careful too, because when the butter, you know, if the sauce breaks, it doesn't look really nice. It just looks like just melted butter. And you don't want that. You want to have a nice consistency in your sauce. Okay. So you throw little pieces in there. And you want to break it down so you get a nice and smooth finished sauce here at the end. So I'm making like a little more sauce because I'm going to throw my pasta in there. And you're going to see that the pasta, when it's fresh, is going to soak up a lot of liquid. You can see the sauce starting to get a little thicker. More here. If it gets a little bit too thick, we can always add a little more chicken stock to thin it down. As you can see, this is a very quick and easy way to make a pan sauce, you know, pan frying your chicken. This is very fast. And so one thing you might see when you get to work in a restaurant setting, they might have the sauce already done. So all you have to do is probably just cook the chicken, and when it's done, you're going to just plate it and just put the sauce. You might have the sauce already in your steam table, ready to go. So that's another thing that will definitely speed up, in the service when it's busy, and then in the kitchen, the professional kitchen setting. That's what you might be seeing as well. Okay, so we're gonna put this aside. The sauce is nice and thick now. So actually, it might be getting a little bit too thick. Okay. I'm also gonna taste this again. Make sure you are, when you're doing this, you want to be tasting your dishes. You want to, adjust the seasoning there. Okay. We need a little bit more salt here. Okay, now we're gonna start cooking my pasta. I'm gonna put my chicken back into this sauce here. Okay. All right. Turn the heat down here. Okay. Also gonna add some of my fresh chopped parsley in there. Okay. So, and if your chicken breast wasn't cooked all the way, this is a way to finish off cooking your chicken in the sauce. And also, it's gonna soak up some of the sauce as well. The egg in there is going to be absorbing some of the liquid, so some of the flavor is going to really soak into the chicken as well. Okay, now that I have my chicken here cooking, I'm going to start cooking my pasta because my chicken is almost done. So I'm going to throw my pasta here. As I was saying, the water should be salty. You want to put enough salt in there. Should be like a seawater salty, because otherwise your pasta is going to be very bland. You don't want this. So since I'm using fresh pasta, this only is going to take 1 minute to cook. You got to be careful not to overcook fresh pasta or any other pasta, but fresh pasta especially is really delicate. You want to cook it for just 1 minute. On the other hand, if you were doing like a dry pasta, you want to have your pasta already cooked before you start making your chicken dish. Otherwise, it would take too long, because, like I said before, dry pasta takes between 8 to 12 minutes, where fresh pasta only takes about a minute to cook. So that's one thing you want to also consider if you the type of pasta you're using. So my chicken is done here. My pasta's cooking. Okay. And make sure your water is boiling really nice before you put the pasta in there, so it cooks very quick. Otherwise, you're gonna get soggy, and you don't want that when you're making pasta. Okay, so you drain your pasta very well. Okay, I'm gonna dump it right in here. Okay, so now we're gonna be ready to plate our chicken dish. You want to toss the pasta in there really nice. Okay, I'm also gonna add a little Parmesan cheese here. Now we're ready to plate our dish. Okay. So we're gonna get a nice plate here. Okay. Twirl here. You want to kind of twist and pull up, because you want to have some height when you're plating your pasta dish. You don't want them to look flat, and that's how you get a nice little bundle of pasta. When you plate it, you kind of twist it and you pull up, so you form like a little dome. Okay. Now we're gonna put our chicken breast here. I mean, for one plate, one chicken breast would be enough. This is probably way too much for a portion size. So now you're gonna put some of the sauce here. Okay. There we go. I'm gonna put some fresh chopped parsley. You can also put a little lemon wheel on there. Okay. And then we're done. Make sure your plates are always nice and clean and the rim. You want to make a beautiful presentation to your guests. And the rim of the plate should always be very clean. One of the things you can, it works really well. If you mix like a little vinegar, white vinegar and water, and just wipe the rim of the plate, it's going to make them nice and shiny. It's going to take any fingerprints you might have in there. So there you go, a nice chicken dish using pan fried method. Also making a pan sauce, and as you can see, it's very easy to make. And I hope to see you guys again next time. Thank you and have a nice day.